Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to share my thoughts on whether or not you should buy a house in 2023 or if you should try to wait for a housing market crash to time the market. And I share this information as a real estate investor who personally owns a couple of multifamily rentals as well as someone who just bought a single family property in the last couple of months. This was when real estate prices were high and interest rates were even higher. I've been hearing all over the internet as well as from people in real life that they're trying to wait for the housing market to crash and wait for the market to bottom out so they can get the best deal possible on a house. And that totally makes sense, and I think if you can wait, you should wait. But I also think there are certain situations where it makes sense to buy a house now. And coming up in this video, I'm gonna show you a graph that shows you the best time to buy real estate, no matter what your situation is. So in case you haven't been paying much attention to the housing market, we currently have the number of houses coming to market dropping significantly, the number of sales dropping significantly, the number of people looking to buy dropping significantly, as well as the number of days on the market extending quite a bit from what we saw in the last couple of years. And really what's driving the market down so much is the interest rates. Interest rates are more than double what they were a year ago, and this is really causing a lot of pain for buyers who can't afford these higher interest rates. These high interest rates are cutting people's buying power back by 30, 40, even 50% in some cases. You can see the huge difference in the monthly payment when you have a 2.5% to 3% interest rate compared to 6, 7, or even up to 8%. This is a huge difference. If you took out a mortgage for about $400,000 about a year ago, you'd have a payment of around $2,600 with depending on what taxes and insurance comes to. But now that very same mortgage could cost you $38,000 to $4,000. And this is no doubt what has caused many people to pause their house search. They just can't afford these higher payments due to interest rates being so high. And of course, when interest rates rise, you would expect housing prices to drop by about 10 to 1. This means every 1% interest rate hike, the housing price should come down about 10%. And that's typically what we've seen historically, but I think this time is a little bit different. In fact, many experts don't expect the housing market to drop as significantly as you might expect with the interest rates. This is because we expect interest rates to start coming back down over the next 2 years pretty significantly. Many experts do believe that interest rates will come down to around 5.5% to maybe 6 to 6.5% by the end of this year, which is still quite high compared to where they were a year ago. But for the current situation with the economy, I think that's probably a pretty reasonable expectation. And I don't think we're gonna see interest rates down to 2.5% or 3% anytime soon. So if you're expecting interest rates to come back to those lows that we saw this last 2 years, then I think you'll be waiting for a long time to buy a house. So I think you're going to pay over the next 5 to 10 years probably 4 to 5% pretty regularly. But of course, things could certainly change as we saw with the pandemic. So in what case should you not buy a house right now today? Well, I would say if you're looking to flip a house right now, now is certainly not the time to do it unless you have a really great deal on hand. And this is because with interest rates pretty unstable or pretty high, we don't know exactly where housing prices are going to go in every part of the country. There are some parts of the country that we do expect the housing market to remain relatively stable, but then there are other parts that could see a more significant decline than others. But I think the biggest reason that if you're trying to flip a house now, it may not be the best time for that is because buyers are really waiting for interest rates to drop. And I don't know when we're going to exactly see interest rates come down enough for buyers to have confidence in the market. And that's one of the problems with trying to time the housing market if you're trying to make quick money. If you're trying to wait for the market to bottom out, we never really know where the bottom is until it's too late. We also never really know where the top of the market is until it is again also too late. But here's why I think now could be the right time for you to buy a house. This is, if you're going to hold it for at least 5 to 10 years, then I think now is always the time to buy. Interest rates are certainly high right now, but they will come down and you can always refinance in the future. The most important part is making sure you get a good deal on the purchase price, because the purchase price you can never change, but interest rates you can. And probably the best type of property that you should buy, and the ones that I love to buy, are the ones that need some work. I would never say to go out and buy a recently rehabbed property in this current market unless you get a really good deal. But I love ones that you need to renovate, update, whether it's just paint and carpets or paint and flooring, whatever it may be, simple updates for the most part. I think those are the best properties that you can buy and hold and rent, or live in if you prefer to. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I purchased a single family property that we're going to live in, but this one needs significant work, and I have a video on my channel and I'll be documenting the whole process as well. So if you like that, definitely go check out my channel and take a look. So if you want to buy a house now, you just have to make sure the numbers will work for you. And as long as the numbers will work for you, then I don't think there's a lot of risk in buying a house right now. And this is because of this graph. If you look historically, housing prices go up over the long term. So if you're holding on to your property long term, then you're most likely going to come out ahead of the game in the future, especially the longer you hold it for. I'm a huge fan of the BRRRR strategy. I'm not so much into flipping, which I do plan to do in the future, but for the most part, my portfolio will be buy, hold, and rent. Anyways, going back to the housing prices, a lot of experts believe that housing prices could rise by between 10 and 50% by 2026. And that seems like a big gap, and it is, but that's because every market is different. We could see some markets exceed 50% growth, or we could even see some markets remain pretty steady or around 10% growth. But this is really where you need to do your research on the market that you're looking to buy in to find out if it could be a problem in the future. So if you're trying to flip and make money, now could be a rough time until maybe mid to end of 2023. But if you're looking to buy and hold, whether it's your primary residence or a rental property, I think as long as the numbers work for you, you do your research in the market, and you're confident about the deal, then you can make money on the property over the long term. I think real estate is overall a very safe investment, as we've seen historically. You're always going to have ups and downs, and yes, housing prices could drop by 10% this year further, but you never know. They could also increase. When the pandemic started, everyone thought the housing market would crash, but instead we saw the exact opposite. And one of those reasons is because overall in America, we have a huge shortage of new housing. There are many more people looking to buy houses than we have houses being built. And this problem is only going to get worse as builders slow down on building. And so those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, definitely leave a comment down below, like the video, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.